Hello again, I am Blunty. You view me today through the magical portal of might and mystery that is the front-facing camera on the iPad, the Mini. I found an excuse to buy one. And I'm late to the party on this. I'm usually early adopter guy, but the iPad Mini was one of those, will I want it? I don't know, but I found a couple of excuses why I would need to own one, and I spent some money to reward myself for some other things in my personal life that you don't get to know about, and it's my Christmas present to myself, really, because no one else likes me and no one else gets me Christmas presents, so I've got to treat myself, don't I? Because I'm cantankerous and grouchy, and Christmas sucks, bah humbug, etc. And just as a side note, if I look a little bit red, it's not the camera doing that. I was out for a long time in the sun today. Check this out, check out my farmer's tan. Oh dear. That's going to sting in the shower tomorrow morning, you can bet your bum. It's been a hot one today in Sydney. It's warm. Now, I doubt whether I'll bother doing a full-on review of the iPad Mini because, let's face it, the internet is lousy with them. But what I am going to do is test out the cameras. Because, let's face it, if you search YouTube for iPad Mini video test footage, you find a lot of garbage by people who don't know an aperture from their asshole, and are just kind of wandering out in their backyard and going, well, that's my tree, and that's my dog taking a leak on the tree, and that's the trampoline over there, and oh, that's a test footage video for you. And it's just not that useful. So I thought, and I'm saying this as humbly as I can, it might be useful if I put something together as someone who knows their way around a camera, even one as simple as one built into smart devices and stuff, and see how it performs in the real world in someone who knows how to frame up a shot and expose properly, hopefully. Now, the rear-facing camera is a 5 megapixel stills shooter. It will do 1080p video. It seems to be very much the same as the unit that's in the current iPod Touch, and very similar to the iPhone 4 unit as far as I can tell. The front-facing camera seems to be the same as the front-facing camera in the iPod Touch. Again, it'll shoot 720p video and 1.3 megapixel stills, and as you can see, that's what you're seeing me on now. It does an alright job even in crappy lighting. It should be a bit grainy, I think, but you know, it's good enough for video chat and voice chat and doing the vlogs and stuff like that. So that's all you need from it, really. You know, do 720p, I'm happy with that. The rear-facing camera is much better, so I thought we'd take a look at it. Let's take a look at some stills first. Now, what always gets me is how many people always massively underestimate and even openly mock and deride photography with smartphones and tablets and the like. These pretentious wankers run around screaming as if they can't possibly get a worthwhile photo from them because they do other things too, and the only way to get a proper photo is to use a proper dedicated camera. And smartphones and iPads are only good for taking pictures of your cats, or your lunch, or whatever pretentious wank the barista has drawn on top of the foam on your $7 cup of venti decaf latte espresso brown water. Morons. Fact is, even in moderately capable hands and with a halfway well-trained photographer behind the lens, these things can easily generate more than simple shitty-looking snapshots. They can do proper photography, and it turns out the rear-facing camera in the iPad Mini is absolutely up to the task. The sharpness is very good, detail is well captured, and the tonal range and transitions are smooth and natural. The dynamic range isn't spectacular, but I've used dedicated compact cameras that do noticeably worse. You'll just have to be a little mindful in full sun with bright subjects that you don't lose the highlights, but things are easily controlled. And contrast is very nice too. Basically, it's a very capable still shooter, and that very nice 7.9-inch screen makes it quite pleasant to work with in the world, which is a nice bonus that shouldn't be underestimated over using your camera phone, for instance, with all other things being equal. Transition from stills to video and things follow suit. Sharp and clear and colourful and saturated. The white balance, as usual for Apple, keeps things on the warmer side for a nice pleasant looking scene. It deals well with brightness changes. It compensates a bit slowly but very smoothly. And of course that autofocusing lens has a nice close-up macro-like ability which is really pleasant to use and gives you that wonderful soft background blur. In more challenging light, things remain well controlled. The shadows don't get too muddy while keeping those highlights capped. You will see a bit of noise, but it's not too bad. The microphones are okay. I mean, they're not brilliant, and of course they're a bit vulnerable to wind noise, but all in all quite usable in just about every condition. Motion is smooth, things are fluid and natural looking, even in direct midday sun where the shutter speed will be pushed high.
And there's even some simple video stabilization going on too. It seems to perform very much like the iPhone 4 and indeed the iPhone 5. It's subtle, not too aggressive, so things don't get all weird and floaty, but it does stomp down quite well on the jitteriness that can plague video shot on devices like this. You can even walk with it, taking no particular care to steady yourself, and it keeps things well managed and smooth. Very usable. There is some slight jagginess on harsh geometrical lines, but nothing too bad. The iPad mini has a quite capable camera, and while everything you've seen were all shot with the default camera app, combine this native performance with more sophisticated apps that give you a little more control, and I think the iPad mini, like the iPhone 4 and iPhone 5 before it, can easily be used for shooting more serious creative endeavours. There is no reason not to take this camera seriously if you're doing serious type shooting, and of course it's a lot of fun to shoot with too. Of course, the cameras will never be the main reason to buy an iPad mini, but it's always nice to know that if and when you do have a need for the cameras, you can get some very usable results indeed from it. And speaking personally, if it was the best option I had available to me in my bag at the time, I would be absolutely happy to shoot whatever I need to shoot with it. No problems.
So there you go. Hopefully those sample photos and sample videos were helpful to you, useful to you in trying to gauge the quality of the cameras in this thing when you're perhaps making a decision between other tablets, because a lot of other tablets have really crappy cameras in them. And just to preempt what I'm sure some people have already left in the comments because they can't wait to type this sort of stuff and it never makes any sense. But Blunty, don't you feel like an idiot holding up a tablet taking photos? No. Who cares? I was out today, I saw several other people taking photos, tourists, a lot of tourists do it, and every single day I go out in Sydney, you walk down by the Opera House or something, you will see tourists taking photos with their iPads. It's not strange anymore, it's commonplace. Oh, but I feel silly holding up a giant big tablet where I could just use the phone. Who cares? Who cares if a stranger on the street momentarily looks at you and thinks, that's a bit weird, he's taking a picture with a tablet. How odd. How does that affect your life? Does that haunt your dreams or something? Do you go home and go, people thought I was weird because I was taking a picture with my iPad. Oh no! Tear out your hair and go crazy about it. Who gives a shit? The point is the end result. Not the 15 seconds you might look like a bit of a doofus holding up something large to take a photo with. I don't get people who are self-conscious about that kind of crap. I mean, come on, these are strangers. What are they going to do? Go on the internet and go, I saw Bob out today. He was taking a picture with the iPad. Isn't he a silly bugger? No, nobody cares. And when I was out shooting with this today, nobody looked twice. And I was looking around to see if anyone was going to look at me weird for taking a picture on my tablet. Nobody did. Nobody gives a shit. Alright, I'm going to stop ranting. I went completely off on a tangent then, which has made this video much, much longer than I ever intended it to be. People have probably tuned out already, have seen the sample footage and given up by now, but those of you that stuck around, thanks for watching. I am Blunty, and I'll catch you next time, and with some luck this was useful to you if you're making a buying decision or trying to figure out, you know, choosing between a couple of different products and you like to do video or shoot or do mobile photography and stuff. And I know some very good photographers who do use iPhones and stuff, and you know, if they didn't tell you what they were using, you'd think they were using SLRs and big gear and stuff like that, because it's the end result that matters. It's the skill and it's the processing and how you edit it, and stuff from the humble iPad mini can look spectacular. It really can. So stop worrying so much about... Stop. I'm ranting again. I'm ranting again. I've already did I do the sign off? I did the sign off. I'll do it again. Catch you next time.